It could hardly have gone better, or am I being overexcited?
No, I think it's gone brilliantly for Keir Starmer so far. So this is the summit. We've all been on the edge of our seats to see how it goes. Trump and Keir Starmer, such different personalities.
It could have gone very badly indeed.
Totally, but he's walked into that room. We've had what we call the spray, where the press just shout questions at Keir Starmer and Donald Trump. And Donald's waxed lyrical about how nice Keir Starmer is. He's a special man. Britain's a special place. He's backed him on some big political decisions too. So he's given the Chagos deal, that deal to hand over control of Chagos to Mauritius, he's given that his backing. That is a big, thorny political issue back here at home. And in one sentence, Donald Trump has handed Keir Starmer a massive victory on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what happens on tariffs and so forth later on, George. But of course, we should say that right now they could be throwing plates at each other behind the scenes in that lunch. We don't know what's going on. We're assuming that the warmth and the bonhomie and the friendliness of that open bit of the meeting is going to carry on, but we can't be sure.
Yes, you're right. I mean, often it's you on the surface it all looks fine, and then you hear Trump said something outrageous in the meeting on the call. But I agree with Kate. I think they'll be particularly relieved on the Chagos deal. I think the Conservatives and Reform were really desperate for Trump to come out against that. When he interviewed David Lammy at the end of last year, he said, Donald Trump knows what a good deal looks like. When he studies the detail, he'll decide it's a good deal. On the surface, it looks as if that's happened.
Aggie, let's talk about the other aspect of this, of course, which is perhaps the bigger aspect, which is Ukraine. What did you make of what you heard the president say on Ukraine? I thought it sounded much more open to the idea of some kind of American protection, some kind of backstop. We were told that wasn't going to happen.
I think that's right. I mean, even the language he was using, the fact that he used the word backstop, which is obviously what Britain, European countries are after, was obviously a great sign for Keir Starmer. So I think on Ukraine there is some optimism. Obviously, he's going to meet Zelensky tomorrow as well, and the minerals deal sounds like it's on in some form. So I think the language in that room did sound positive in terms of Ukraine. But as we've all said, they're basically at the beginning of their day. They've still got lunch, they've still got a press conference, they've still got a lot to do. And the one thing that everyone says about Donald Trump is he's unpredictable. So I feel like anything could still happen. It was only after, I think, some hours of talking that he actually ended up calling Volodymyr Zelensky a dictator. So we could still have something unexpected.
Keep listening to LBC all night, folks. Let's talk a little bit about what this means for Keir Starmer, Kate, because he's had some really appalling opinion polling recently, including a polling saying that he would be a useless negotiator with Trump last week. So it's been a very, very tough time for him. I think there's still really hard decisions to be taken on tax and spend in the spring. But this will be a big fillip, won't it? He'll come back with his chin a little higher.
Yeah, definitely. You can kind of already see that in the room, I think. Keir Starmer the last couple of weeks pitching himself as this global statesman. Well, that's interesting. He's not long been in number 10, yet alone kind of filling that big European leadership role. But he's pitched himself as that. And Donald Trump is leaning into that for him too. He says Keir Starmer's talked about him being a bridge between Europe and Ukraine and America. And as it stands, Trump's being very warm, very charming, and letting him have that victory as it stands. One thing that I thought was really interesting that Donald Trump said in the meeting earlier was when he said US troops would protect British troops if it came to it in Ukraine, which is as far as he's come, I think, recently, as declaring, yes, we are still committed to Article 5 in NATO.
Absolutely.
So it's things like that. Yeah. That language is really important to get out of Donald Trump at these moments.
Yeah, so a big moment for Keir Starmer. George, let me talk a little bit about what this means for the Labour Party generally, because, with the defence spending announcement this week and taking the money from aid is the kind of thing that offends the natural sort of liberal Labour left very much. And Starmer did it, apparently. I mean, he said he regretted it, but he did it pretty fast and pretty brutally. Do you see a bigger change going on in the nature of the Starmer government at the moment?
I do. I think this decision, more than any other, tells you, number 10 is under new management in terms of Morgan McSweeney. It was a very McSweeney-like move to boost defence spending but cut foreign aid. We know foreign aid polls badly with voters as one of the areas they'd most like to see cut, but I've written today about how it has echoes of the old Labour right. So this is the pre-New Labour right that sort of
Dennis Healy, John Healy, and so on.
That fought the hard left in the 1980s, and then broadly is to the left of New Labour on the economy and to its right on immigration and defence. That's where the Starmer government now is.
But it's very, very interesting you say that. I've read only the headline in the Daily Telegraph, not one of the government's closest allies in the media, saying this is the most right-wing government we've had in a generation.
Well, I think it depends. It's a matter of definition, isn't it? I think it's interesting that on the one hand, they're moving left on workers' rights, higher NHS spending, higher taxes. On the other hand, moving right, arguably, on immigration defence. And I think certainly Starmer's contention would be we are in the common ground of public opinion. It's where the country is. I think the question is, will Labour see some benefit in the polls from this? It's certainly one of the most striking things they've done.
Well, let's see. I'd like to pick up with both Aggie and Kate on this because, it's been a very, very hard time for Starmer. And I'm interested in your perception of where this government is going because, they've taken on the left. And they've taken on the Green left in particular on numerous issues. Ed Miliband has bitten his tongue. There were rumours this morning that the aid secretary was going to resign, but she's not. What's your sense of the mood on the backbenches, Aggie?
Well, I think there's a mix. I think just to pick up on your point, George, I think there are massive inconsistencies on the delivery of this government and different kind of secretaries of state doing very different things and the strategy of the government being a bit incoherent. So it is sometimes quite difficult to work out exactly what's going on. I would say there's a bit of unease on the backbenches, and I would say the unease has come quicker than I think a lot of people in number 10 would have expected. And everyone says there's this refrain of, there's still 4 years to go or 3.5 years to go. We've still got a long time to go. I think they've got to be careful because it may feel like there's a long time to go, but Liz Truss was only given sort of 48 days or so. So I think they just need to watch that growing unease and just be a little careful about that.
Don't crack out that this is yet. Kate, Annalise Dodds, she's in a very difficult position. She made a big speech on overseas aid and seems to have been blindsided at Cabinet by this decision.
Well, would it be too cruel to say if Annalise Dodds left? I'm not sure anyone would notice.
That was very cruel, but you've said it.
But
too late.
She was Shadow Chancellor once.
She could have been Shadow Chancellor once, but yeah. So this aid cut was quite the right thing to do. We're in a totally new era.
It's certainly something the public support. If you look at the
public support, it's one of the only cuts of public spending that will be popular. It's, you need to find that money, bank that money this year. This is not a long term where you can reform that, maybe free up a few billion. You need to show the OBR and show the public where you're going to make those spending cuts. So I think that was totally the right decision. The public will back him. What people like about Keir Starmer is when he is strong, he's clear about the leadership he's going to show, what he's going to do, the NHS, now on defence. When they don't like him is when he's kind of vague and flip-floppy. So I disagree with Aggie. I wouldn't worry about the backbenchers.
Wouldn't worry about the backbenchers. Oh, brave new world that hath such ministers in it.